All right, here's an example of one of those first 20 questions that tons of kids got wrong, and it's going to come up in today's lesson, and we need you to know this. All of that to the third, and then with a little extra kicker of times b squared. Now, what I've learned about math is that you just need to do one step at a time. If that times b squared is just pushing you over the edge, well, just ignore it. Don't even think about it. Just do this part. And you can't actually do anything in there. So then, here's a really classic mistake. People start writing the answer as 2a to the... No, it's not 2. What's it going to be? Not 2. It's 2 has to be put to the third like everything else. So it's 2 to the third. And what is 2 to the third? 2 to the third is 2 times 2 times 2. I know every one of you could do 2 times 2. And then just times 2 again. It's 8. So do you get that that is going to be on your next test? It is. Why not learn it? It's one of these basics. It's not going to look like this. I'll show you in a minute what it's going to look like. But you're going to have to know how to do the 2 to the third, and the a squared is to the third. All right, so in a minute, you're going to have an 8 to start with, and then it'll be a to the something, and then b to the something. And then you'll have to tell if you know what to do with this b squared at the end. Just do it at the end. Just tack on a b squared at the end, and then see, oh, I guess I got another b. I wonder how I put those together. All right, so that's the start of this one. Now I'm going to do one more that I want you to look at. That's one of these basics that was on that quiz you took yesterday. And it literally has come up on our last tests. Except some of you didn't know it was there. This was when you were solving x squared equals like 4, and you have to square root both sides, you end up with an absolute value. Do you know how to do absolute values? Like solve that? Here, all we're doing is multiplying. Now, I'm not going to say simplify, because you should know every math problem should be simplified at the end. So there's 2 questions. I'm going to give you one more that I know comes up on our next test. And therefore, you really need to know this Algebra 1 stuff, because it's going to be right in the middle of an Algebra 2 problem. It looks like this. Now, the secret to this that nobody last hour knew was that that part on the bottom can be factored. And as soon as you factor it, you know, like if everybody's stuck, this sign here says if you can factor it, you should. If you're ever stuck in this class, seriously, just look up there and go, I wonder if I could factor it. Because this factors. And once you factor it, stuff cancels and it's easy. All right, so there's my 3 easiest ones that I want you to know that are of the 20. We're just going to keep working through these, and you're going to keep taking those practice tests, and hopefully you'll go from like 4 right to 8 right to 12 right to 16 right. And pretty soon when you're getting 19 or 20 right, I'm telling you, you'll have an A in here. From that moment on, you'll be getting A's. If you can master these. At least a B, but probably A's. So take the time to master these 20 basics. That's 3 of them. I'm going to pause while you give that a shot. All right. Like I said, literally today, this is going to be in the middle of a different kind of problem where you'll have to know how to do this. So if you didn't know, pay attention. 2 to the third is the 8. A to the second to the third, on this kind, you multiply them. It's a to the 6th. There was only 2 choices. You were either going to multiply them or add them. And that kind is a multiply. So then the b would also be a multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. But what about the b squared at the end? I said wait for it till later, and then you'll either know what to do or not. And I know what to do. On the other kind, you multiplied them. So on this kind, you add them. So final answer, 8 a to the 6th was right. And now it's b to the, add them, 17th. There we go. I'm curious, how many of you had that one right? Raise your hand if you did. And that's not many. All right. I'm going to try another one like that. Off to the side, we'll do one more like that. 2a squared b, all of that squared, times a to the 4th, no, 5th, sorry. There's a reason I need to change that. You need to get this, because this is going to be in the middle of today's different looking problems. Is do you get exponents? All right, did you know that the 2 gets squared and you start with a 4? It's really common for kids to forget that on today's homework. And then a squared squared. Well, this kind is kind of bad because whether you added them or multiplied them, you should have got a to the 4th. If you got anything other than a to the 4th, I don't even know what you're doing. It's supposed to be multiply, but even if you screwed up and added them, you'd have a to the 4th. And then it's b to the 2nd, but that's going to be put with the a to the, wait, no, that's different. It's just b to the 2nd. Sorry, the a to the 5th will go later, and these guys can go together, making 4, and those two are like terms, a to the 9th, b to the 2nd. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Cool. Now, do you get, when I give you that test again, you'll probably get this one right. You have one more of the 20 things mastered. And this is about exponents. You got to admit, you know exponents are a big deal in math, right? All right. So let me show you then how that ties into today's. Actually, you know what? I'm going to wait on that. I need to finish up my basics because I gave you these 3 questions and we need to finish them. Here, how about this one? Do you remember how to do absolute values? If you don't, I'll show you. You split this into 2 equations. X minus 2 is 14 and x minus 2 is 14. And I hope you're smart enough to know you wouldn't have to do the same exact thing twice, right? So then it must be negative 14. Now, if you don't understand why, this is not our lesson for today, but I'll even explain briefly why that's true. What's in here could either be 14 or negative 14 because you got the bars around it. So it'll come out to 14 either way, whether it comes out to positive 14 or negative 14. That's why you do it once with plus and once with minus. And then here we'll just add 2 to both sides, and that makes this part 16. And here we'll add 2 to both sides, and that makes this part negative 12. Who had that one right? Okay, awesome. Absolute values. It's like a basic algebra thing that you have to understand how to do. You just split it into 2 equations. All right, then the last one is this. And I said the key was factoring, and oh my gosh, if you don't remember how to factor this, we literally had a test that just factored just like that on your last test. Last number's negative, so it must be a plus and a minus. What multiplies to 36? 6 times 6. If you're like, I don't get why that worked. Look, multiply it out. X times x, x squared. The inside and the outside make negative 6x and positive 6x, so they cancel each other out, leaving only 6 times negative 6 to make 36. See, it works. It's factored. So then my problem is now got an x plus 6, or sorry, an x minus 6 on the top and an x minus 6 on the bottom, which will cancel, leaving only x plus 2 on the top and x plus 6 on the bottom. And some people really don't get it, think those x's cancel. I love that you're looking for things that cancel, but those x's don't cancel. Why? Because they're part of add problems. Let me show you this. 2 plus 3 over 2. Do you think the answer to that is 3? See, some people think, can't you cancel that? No, the answer isn't 3. 3 plus 2 is 5 over 2 is not 3. That can't cancel because it's part of an add problem. Whereas if it was a multiply problem, 2 times 3 over 2, that is 3. Because see, 6 divided by 2 is 3. That kind can cancel because it's part of a multiply. That's why factoring is so good, is because if you can make it factor, then you can make things cancel. We factored it. We made the x minus 6's cancel. There's your final answer. And no, the x's can't cancel. All right, there's my little reminder of Algebra 1 that you got to know. And that thing called the first 20, we'll probably take it 7 times before the end of the semester. You just get better and better and better at it. And the faster you can get better at it, like some of these are on your next test. Like if you were going to spend the time to get better, why not get better now so that your next test, which has some of these in it, will be fixed and you'll all of a sudden be rocking math with a straight A. I'm telling you, goes together, or at least a strong B. All right. So then what's the new thing for today, Mr. Server? All right. Well, first of all, you really have to understand the stuff from yesterday to be able to do this. Do you remember me saying that the middle of this thing and the end of this thing don't really matter? I can learn everything I need to know from this lead term. I can tell a degree. Can you? I hope so. I can tell the lead term, which is different than the lead coefficient. And I can tell the end, which is the right side and the left side. I can tell if it's up or down. Do you remember all those things from yesterday? I'll remind you in a second, but why don't you try to answer it? If you know these 4 things, then you totally get yesterday. If you don't know those 4 things, I need to help you. I'm going to pause the video for just a second while everybody tries this. Got to remember yesterday before you can get today. All right. This is kind of one of those, if you know, you know. I think Sam knows the degree. What's the degree, Sam? It is 3. It's just that number right there. Okay. What's the difference between the lead term and the lead coefficient? The lead term is the whole thing. The lead coefficient is just the -4. You got to know the difference there. The coefficient is just this part. And last, because this is negative, it tells me the end of the story. It's like I told you, an upside down question mark when you're reading Spanish tells you the thing's going to be a question. Well, this tells me the thing's going to end going down. So on the right side, it's going down. And then this being odd tells me that they're different. And I think odd and different go together, like logically. Like if somebody said, I saw a cat wearing spandex with a mouse riding on its back, be like, that's really odd. Or interchangeably, oh, that's different. Okay, so you can remember it however you want to remember it, but I know that if it's odd, it's different, and therefore it must be up. Raise your hand if you had all of those right. That's not many people. So let's make sure you've got that now. Do you understand from me talking you through? All right. Right now, everybody, somebody's not with me. I know who you are, but I'm not going to say your name. Everybody, write this down. 2x to the 7th plus 5x minus 1. And tell me the 4 answers. Degree, lead term, lead co, and ends. Start with the right end, in my opinion. Answer those 4, because you really got to get this before I can move to today. See, math builds on itself that way.
What is there one?
Degree, lead term, lead coefficient,
Oh, okay.
and ends. The ends meaning right and left. rating. I only need your attention for like 15 more minutes. And we're done. Now you can read whatever you want. Okay, here we go. Degree was 7. Lead term is 2. No, it's not. 2 what? 2x to the 7th. Lead coefficient is 2. And it tells me something. Since it's positive, it has a happy ending. It's going up on the right where it ends. On the left end, it's either the same or different than that. Since this is odd, it'll be different. It'll be going down. Raise your hand if you had all those right. Okay, awesome. Now, the only thing that's different today is you've got to calculate this. We don't just give it to you. You got to calculate it, and then the questions will all be identical. It's just that isn't just sitting in front. That's not going to just be sitting in front. Let me give you an example. Here's a typical problem for today. Write this down, please. Y equals, parentheses, 2x minus 1, parentheses, x plus 4. Now, could you multiply this all the way out? Yes, but don't, because that would take a long time. And remember how only the first term matters? We don't care about the second term or the third term or the fourth term. It's only the first term. So can you, in your head, realize that the first term, the lead term, would be 2x squared? Can you see how I got that? Just that times that. And now I can answer all the questions, can't I? I can tell the degree from that. I can tell that since it's positive, it's going up on the right, etc., etc. Do you get how easy that was? I just had to take this times this. Okay, they get a little harder than that. Here's another one. Write this one down. Y equals, parentheses, 3x minus 1, parentheses, squared. That's where all of a sudden it gets like that review problem we started with. And then x minus 4. So if it had just been 3x and x, you would have said it was 3x squared. But it's not. Because of this. This, if you had to multiply it all the way out, would take you forever. But you don't have to multiply it all out. You just need the lead term. Here's a really common wrong answer. 3x, and you're smart enough to go, it's not just x squared. Ooh, I know that this is squared, so then I think it's x to the third. Oh, so close, but wrong. Because I taught you that that 3 has to get squared, so it should be 9x to the third. Anybody catch that before I said it? You remember me saying that 3 has to get squared? We just did one like that at the beginning of the hour. And now that it's 9x to the third, I could say, what's the degree? It's 3. Since that's positive, the right end goes up. Since that's odd, they must be different on both ends. You know, all that stuff.
Wait, so do
you multiply this to the this, and then times that. All right, let's do one more like that. Write this down. Y equals, parentheses, negative 2x minus 1, parentheses, times x minus 4 to the fourth. All I care is about the lead term, and that's a good thing, because finding the whole answer, super hard. Finding the lead term, not hard. That and that, but don't forget that. Nichols, you got it?
Yeah.
Don't say it. Just checking. Pierce, you got something? Good. All right, Dice of Destiny will tell me who to call. And if you don't get it, I'll walk you through it. But don't think saying, I don't know, gets you out of answering. It just means I got to help you. All right, it's row 6, middle person. Josie, that's you. Can you tell me what you think it is?
Negative x to the 5th.
Oh, you're so close. It has a negative, and it has an x to the 5th. But look what I circled that you didn't have in your answer. Do you see this 2 here? That's part of it. Who had negative 2x to the 5th? Awesome. Do you get now, it would be easy to say, what's the degree? Degree 5. What's the negative in the front mean? Going down on the right. Is it going to be the same on both ends, Foda? Hint, that tells you it's not. So you're correct. Not going to be the same on both ends, because that's odd. All right, yes?
I thought we multiplied like x times 4, so it would be 4 next time.
If this was to the 4th, yeah, but the 2x isn't to the 4th. Only this is to the 4th. So it's x to the 4th with one more x, making x to the 5th. I'm glad you asked. I know other people were thinking that too. If the 4th power had been here, you would have been right. But the 4th power isn't there. The 4th power is over here. So it only hits this x to the 4th.
Isn't there a 1 in front of the x?
Yeah, but if you were going to do anything, you'd multiply 1 times 4. Oh, do you mean like a 1 in front like here?
Yeah.
Yes, there's a 1 there. But 1 to the 4th is just 1. You were maybe thinking 1 to the 4th was 4. So this is the right answer. And that is as hard as they get, folks. Like if you got this one right on the test, that's as hard as we make them, ever. You could do that. You can handle that. All right, so here's one with all of the pieces and the parts. Like, what's the degree? What's the lead coefficient? Blah, blah, blah. So here's a good typical, like, medium. No, I shouldn't say it that way. It's as hard as they would be. And then they'll say, what's the lead term? And that's that thing where you multiply it all out in your head. And it's like x to the 6th or whatever. What's the lead co? That's just the number in the front. What's the degree? And what do the ends do? Start with the right. And then do the left. All right, I'm going to pause for a second while I give this a try. If you get this, this is it. This is the end of the lesson. So give me all your full attention on this. If you don't get it, I'll show you how. Here's how you start. I'm going to use a highlighter. I didn't before, but you just take the front things, but don't forget the powers. Now, why am I ignoring that this has a power of 1? Because putting anything to the 1 power doesn't really do anything. Okay, so then I got my negative x here going with this 2x to the 3rd, and it's a really common wrong answer to say negative 2x to the 4th. And if you have that, I totally get it because I do it myself sometimes. That 2 is to the 3rd. It's not 2. It's 2 to the 3rd, which really means 2 times 2 times 2, which is really 8. Who actually had negative 8x to the 4th? All right, I know I caught a lot of you on that. 2 to the 3rd is 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. That's why those algebra basics are such a big deal. 2 to the 3rd has to be done. You can't just do it to the x. 2 has to be put to the 3rd. All right. And now you obviously will get different answers if you think this is your lead term. So I know some of you have to adjust your answers now. Please do. Who had it right in the first place? Okay, awesome. Nichols, then, what's the lead coefficient?
-8.
Correct. It's just the number in the front. What's the degree, Nichols?
The degree was 4.
4 is correct because it's just this power here. And then since that's even, they're going to be the same on the right and the left.
Yeah.
But which way is it on the right and the left?
It's a negative, so it's down.
Since that's negative, it must be down. And they have to be the same because that's even. There you go. That's everything. That's yesterday's and today's. And a whole bunch of review of those 20 really important algebra skills. There's two kinds of kids on that first 20 right now. The kids who are going to say, you know what, I might as well just learn it. He's going to make me do this 8 times. And then there's the kids who are just going to be like, I don't want to learn it. And I can't really help the kids that decide to refuse to learn it. Like, I can't make you learn it. But if you're willing to learn those 20 things, and you'd like an A in this class, that's the ticket, that's the key. If you've got all those things down, then you just might make a few dumb mistakes here and there. You might be able to keep that A even with a couple dumb mistakes. You can make one mistake in the easy ones and one mistake in the hard ones, and you still get a straight A on the tests. I'm telling you, it's almost like magic. Please take that first 20 seriously. All right, now let's do your homework. We're only doing the evens. So find the homework. It's a PDF, and we're just doing the evens. Number 2 will be the first even one, of course. Mr. Nichols, would you read me number 2, please?
I'm not there yet.
Okay, that's all right. I understand it takes a sec. Who's actually got it? If you read this to me, I promise not to call on you for the rest of the hour. Gabe, thank you. Just read me number 2.
X is equal to 3x plus 4.
3x plus 4. Is it in a parenthesis?
Yeah.
Does it have a power?
No.
Okay, good. And now what's the next thing?
Negative 2x to the 4th plus 2.
To the 4th plus 2. Okay, awesome. Now, only this and that matter. We don't have any powers on the outside to worry about. So, can you put those together? Now, I get some kids are going to say, but you just said to put the negative 2 to the 4th. On this one, you don't put the negative 2 to the 4th. That would be if the 4th was out here. The 4th is only on the x. So you take this negative 2 and you don't put it to the 4th because the 4th power isn't on it. And you times it by this 3 and you get negative 6. If you started with the negative 6, you're doing it right. That's the lead term. Negative 6 something. Negative 6x to the, well, I got 4 for this one plus 1 for that one, x to the 5th. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, awesome. Now we're starting to cook. Hannah Lyle, it asks a bunch of questions then. What do they want to know next? Degree. What is a degree?
5.
Correct. Hannah, what's the next question they ask? Lead co. What is it? Yep. Negative 6. What's the next thing? End. And then I always start on the right. Bella, can you tell me what this one does on the right?
If it's a negative, it goes down.
Perfect. On the left, it's either the same or different. Carmen, what do you say? It's different. You're correct. So it's going to go up because that was odd. All right, cool. That's how you do these. So just do the evens. Now, what else could you do in class? I've got your tests. I didn't give them back yesterday because a lot of people hadn't taken it yet. But I think we're to the point now where I can hand these back. Now, a lot of you guys have a grade that's good but not great. Like, let me read you some. 95, 95, 95, 100. You think any of them are going to want to retake? No, they all did awesome. But here's an 85. Here's another 85. Do you think that normally teachers say should retake B's? No, but I'm not normal. Why would I retake a B? Did you know that I guarantee you if you got a B, all you had to do is get 2 more questions right and you would have had an A? 2 more questions. The way our tests work, if you had 2 more right, you would have had an A. I bet you anything when I hand this back to you, you're going to go, oh, stupid, I made that mistake and that mistake. And if you right away know what you could have done to get an A, I think you should retake it. But you don't have to, it's your life. But I'm telling you, a straight A and a B are totally different things. You start with a 95% this semester, then you're going to get so much better grade in the end than if you start with a B. It's like 10% more, it's a lot. And you know these count way more than homework. So, if I got a B, I would take the rest of this hour and I would just fix the ones you got wrong. I've got this thing right here called a retake. And it's not the actual retake, it's just like where you do your fixes. And if I fixed my B by, all you probably have to do is fix 3 questions. Fix them. And if you can get 2 more right when you take the retake, you got an A. Alright. It's good advice. It's whether or not it's worth it to you. For some of you, I don't maybe think you care, but if you actually care and you want a good grade, it's worth the retake. Olivia, Griffin, Josie, Abby, Sam, come on up and get these, please. The 2 people that haven't taken it, Chloe, and who else didn't take it yet? Bennett, you guys gotta step out and shut the door after you. Bring your iPad with you so you can work on something. Henry Nichols, Angela, Hannah, Sadie, Matthew. No, you're still working on it, right?
God.
Oh, then you're not gonna do that, change your answers based on that. So no, you don't have to step up. I was gonna try to grade yours in a second and say anything about that. Sabrina, Claire, Poppy, Carmen, Max, Emma, Sophia. For those of you that are like, funny, you've probably heard my name, there's sometimes two of you. That's why you should put your last name on it. Because sometimes there's two of the same name, you know? Damien, Claire, Natalie, Flynn. You put at least the initials of your last name next time. It helps me learn the last names too. Flynn, Jordan, Hudson, Foda, Pierce,